Hey everyone, Alessandro D'Amica here, and welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into the world of metal casting and exploring why Greensand Molding might be the perfect choice for your next project. I'm super excited to get into this because, let me tell you, there's a certain magic to transforming raw metal into something entirely new, something you've designed and brought to life with your own hands. It's a process as old as civilization, yet it's still incredibly relevant and, frankly, a ton of fun. Now, metal casting can seem a bit intimidating, right? There are so many methods, so many materials, and so many variables to consider. But what if I told you there's a method that's not only effective, but also incredibly accessible, relatively inexpensive, and even kind to our planet? That's where Greensand Molding steps into the spotlight. We're going to break down exactly what makes this technique such a powerhouse, from the materials it uses to the quality of the castings it can produce. It's a foundational skill, and understanding it can really open up a world of possibilities for makers, artists, and engineers alike. So, if you've ever been curious about pouring your own metal parts, or if you're looking for a reliable and efficient molding method, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to explore 5 key reasons why Greensand Molding is, in my opinion, a genuine game changer in the realm of metal casting. We'll look at the nitty-gritty details, the science behind it, and why it's a favorite for everyone from hobbyists in their garage workshops to large-scale industrial foundries. Stick around because this is going to be good. Alright, let's kick things off with something that's on everyone's mind: cost. The beauty of Greensand Molding, and one of its most compelling advantages, is its remarkably low cost. We're talking about materials that are, for the most part, dug right out of the earth. The primary components are silica sand, which is abundant and relatively cheap, bentonite clay, which acts as our binder, and good old water. Sometimes a little coal dust or other carbonaceous material is added to improve surface finish, but the core recipe is incredibly straightforward and, importantly, affordable. This isn't some exotic, expensive compound. It's fundamentally sand and clay. The thing about these materials is not just their initial low price, but their incredible reusability. This is where the economics really start to shine. After you've poured your metal and the casting has cooled, you break open the mold, and guess what? That sand isn't waste. Most of it can be reclaimed, remolded, which is just a fancy way of saying remixed and reconditioned with a bit more water and maybe a touch of new clay, and used again and again and again. Think about that for a second. Your primary molding material isn't a consumable in the typical sense. This drastically reduces ongoing operational costs, which is a huge win. This low cost and reusability isn't just good for big operations. It democratizes metal casting. It means that hobbyists, small startups, and artists can get into casting without a massive upfront investment in specialized or proprietary molding materials. You can experiment, you can make mistakes, and we all make mistakes. That's how we learn. And you won't feel like every failed casting is a huge financial hit. It opens the door for innovation and creativity because the barrier to entry is significantly lowered. That, to me, is an absolutely fantastic aspect of Greensand. Now, building directly on that idea of reusability, let's talk about the environmental aspect, because it's a really important one. The fact that Greensand is so highly recyclable makes it an inherently more environmentally friendly option compared to many other molding methods out there. We're not talking about single-use plastics or chemically bonded sands that create significant disposal headaches. The primary components, as we've said, are natural sand, clay, water. These are materials that come from the earth and can, with proper management, be handled with minimal environmental impact. Think about the alternatives for a moment. Some molding processes use chemical binders, resins, or catalysts that can off-gas volatile organic compounds, VOCs, during mixing, pouring, or curing. The disposal of these chemically bonded sands can also be problematic, often requiring specialized landfill procedures or treatments. Greensand, on the other hand, largely sidesteps these issues. The binders are natural clays, and the process doesn't rely on harsh chemical reactions to create the mold. This means less hazardous waste generated and a cleaner working environment, which is always a plus. And while, yes, melting metal is an energy-intensive process, no matter how you slice it, The sand system itself contributes to a better overall footprint. Because the sand is reused so extensively, we're reducing the need for constant quarrying and transportation of new raw materials. There's less energy expended in manufacturing synthetic binders as well. So when you look at the entire life cycle of the molding material, Greensand presents a compelling case for being a more sustainable choice. It's about minimizing waste and using resources responsibly, and Greensand helps us do just that in the Foundry. Chapter 3. Speed and scale, ramping up production with Greensand. So we've got low cost and we've got environmental benefits. But what about getting things done? This is where Greensand really flexes its muscles in terms of productivity. The processing and mold making for Greensand are, relatively speaking, quite simple and fast. Once you have your pattern ready, that's the replica of the part you want to cast. Ramming up a Greensand mold doesn't have to be an incredibly lengthy or complicated affair. You're essentially compacting the prepared sand around your pattern in a flask, and with a bit of practice, this can be done with impressive speed and efficiency. This inherent speed and simplicity are what make Greensand incredibly well suited for mass production. When you move beyond manual one-off castings and start thinking about producing hundreds or thousands of identical parts, Greensand is often the go-to choice, especially when paired with automatic molding machines. These machines are marvels of engineering, capable of producing molds at an astonishing rate, sometimes hundreds per hour. They automate the sand filling, compaction, pattern stripping, and mold handling, all using Greensand as the medium. It's this synergy between the material and mechanization that allows for high-volume, cost-effective casting. But even if you're not running a massive automated foundry, even if it's just you in your workshop, the quick turnaround potential of Greensand is a significant advantage. You can go from having a pattern to pouring metal in a relatively short time frame compared to some other methods that might require long curing times for binders or intricate mold preparations. This means you can iterate on designs faster, produce small batches more efficiently, and generally keep your workflow moving. That ability to quickly translate an idea into a physical metal part is incredibly powerful. Chapter 4. One Sand, Many Metals. The impressive versatility of Greensand. One of the things I absolutely love about well-designed tools or processes is versatility, and Greensand molding scores very high in this department. It's not a one-trick pony, limited to a single type of metal or a narrow range of applications. Greensand can be used to cast a truly diverse array of common engineering and artistic metals. We're talking about aluminum and its alloys, which are hugely popular for their lightweight and castability. Then you have the copper-based alloys like brass and bronze, fantastic for bearings, artistic pieces and plumbing fixtures. And, of course, it's excellent for various grades of cast iron. This broad compatibility means that with a good Greensand setup, you have the capability to tackle a wide variety of projects without needing to completely switch up your molding medium or invest in entirely different systems for different metals. The fundamental principles of packing the sand, creating the cavity and ensuring proper gating and risering remain consistent, though you'll definitely need to adjust parameters like pouring temperature and sand composition nuances for each specific metal. It's this adaptability that makes it such a workhorse in so many foundries and workshops. Beyond the type of metal, Greensand is also adept at producing castings ranging from quite small, intricate parts up to reasonably medium-sized objects. While it might not be the first choice for, say, enormous engine blocks or massive turbine housings, those often require different specialized methods. It comfortably handles a vast spectrum of components that we encounter every day. Think about decorative hardware, small machine parts, artistic sculptures, prototypes and custom tools. The ability to produce such a range of items in various metals, all with the same fundamental molding technique, is a testament to its inherent flexibility and robustness. Chapter 5. Breathing easy and breaking free. The functional perks of Greensand. Now let's get a little more into the science of what makes a good mold, because Greensand has a couple of inherent physical properties that are incredibly beneficial for achieving high-quality castings, good gas permeability and excellent collapsibility. First up, permeability. When you pour molten metal into a mold cavity, it displaces the air that was in there, plus the moisture in the Greensand instantly turns to steam. and the molten metal itself can release dissolved gases. All these gases need to escape the mold cavity, and they need to do it quickly and efficiently. If these gases get trapped, they can cause all sorts of problems in your casting. Things like porosity, which are tiny bubbles or voids, or misruns where the metal doesn't completely fill the mold. Greensand, by its very nature, being composed of individual sand grains lightly bound by clay and water, has a porous structure. There are tiny interconnected pathways between the sand grains that allow these gases and steam to vent out through the body of the mold. This breathing ability is crucial for producing sound, dense castings, and it's a natural characteristic of a well-prepared greensand mold. Then there's collapsibility. As the molten metal solidifies and then cools further, it shrinks. This is just a fundamental property of metals. If the mold material is too rigid and doesn't give way or collapse as the casting shrinks, it can put immense stress on the cooling metal. This can lead to defects like hot tears or cracks, especially in castings with complex geometries or varying section thicknesses. Greensand excels here because the clay binder, particularly after being exposed to the heat of the molten metal, loses some of its strength. The mold becomes friable and crumbles away easily, allowing the casting to shrink without undue constraint. This also makes the shakeout process, removing the casting from the mold, much easier. Outro your casting journey starts here, so there you have it, a deep dive into why greensand molding is such a fantastic and, dare I say, indispensable technique in the world of metal casting. We've seen how its low cost and the reusability of its natural components make it incredibly economical and a more environmentally conscious choice. We've talked about its capacity for high productivity, making it suitable for everything from one-off projects to full-scale mass production. And we've explored its amazing versatility with different metals and casting sizes, not to mention those crucial properties of permeability and collapsibility that help us achieve great quality castings. Honestly, metal casting is one of those skills that combines art, science, and a good bit of craft. It can seem like a steep learning curve from the outside, but methods like greensand molding really do lower the barrier to entry. It's a process that invites experimentation and rewards careful practice. If you've been on the fence about trying your hand at casting, I hope this has given you the nudge you need. The feeling of designing a part, making a mold, and then holding that solid metal object in your hand is truly something special. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights into the world of metal casting. We've got a lot more to explore together. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or your own experiences with greensand. I'd love to hear them. See you next time.